Emily Parker moved like a whisper through the clinking plates and chatter of Maple and Main Diner, a small roadside stop just outside of Denver. To the world, she was just the quiet girl who refilled coffee cups and smiled politely. But beneath that shy smile lived a young woman carrying the weight of silence. Born to deaf parents, Emily had grown up translating life through her hands. She never spoke much because words, she always felt, were weaker than kindness. That morning, the diner buzzed with unusual energy. A convoy of black cars had pulled up outside. The staff whispered in awe. Ethan Cole, the billionaire tech entrepreneur, was in town. Known for his empire and his heart for innovation, Ethan was said to be a man who noticed everything but trusted few. He entered with his elderly mother, Margaret Cole, a graceful woman in her 70s who smiled kindly, though her eyes flickered with confusion, eyes that did not follow sound. Emily noticed immediately Margaret was deaf. If you believe true kindness always finds its way back, please tap the like button now and subscribe to support more stories like this. Ethan guided his mother gently to a corner booth, his voice soft but useless to her ears. Emily watched as he pointed to the menu, tried mouthing words, and even used a small notepad to write, but Margaret only smiled politely. The barrier between them was painful to watch. Ethan's shoulders tensed. Frustration was clear in his eyes. When Emily approached their table, she quietly set down the coffee pot. Then, before saying a word, she signed, "Would you like cream or sugar, ma'am?" Margaret froze, her eyes widening, trembling hands rising to meet Emily's. "You sign?" she replied, her hands fluttering with joy. Emily nodded, smiling softly. In seconds, the two were deep in conversation. Margaret's laughter, silent but radiant, filled the space between them. Her face lit up as Emily translated every part of the menu through gentle gestures, even adding little jokes. That made Margaret cover her mouth in delight. From across the booth, Ethan sat utterly still. For the first time in years, he saw his mother truly communicating. He didn't interrupt. He just watched, emotion rising like a tide he could no longer control. After they ordered, Margaret reached across the table, touching Emily's hand. Her eyes glistened as she signed, "You remind me of my late daughter." Ethan swallowed hard. That was the first time he'd heard his mother mention his sister in years. He looked at Emily as if seeing her for the first time, not as a waitress, but as a bridge between two worlds. The meal went on with light and warmth that seemed to spread through the diner. Customers noticed. Conversations slowed. Even the cook peeked out to see the billionaire's mother laughing with the shy waitress. When it was time to leave, Ethan stood and said softly, "You have no idea what you just did." He tried to pay, but Emily shook her head. "Please," she whispered, "it was an honor." But Ethan insisted, leaving a check folded beneath the napkin. When Emily cleared the table, her hands trembled as she opened it. $10,000. And a handwritten note. "For the first time in years, my mother didn't feel alone. People pay millions for technology to connect hearts, but today, you did it with kindness." Ethan Cole. Tears blurred her vision. Emily had been saving every cent, living in a tiny studio apartment, working double shifts just to pay off her late father's medical bills. $10,000 wasn't just money, it was a miracle wrapped in compassion. But it didn't end there. A week later, Emily was wiping down tables when a tall man in a suit entered. "Emily Parker?" he asked, handing her an envelope embossed with the Cole Enterprises logo. Inside was a letter from Ethan. "My mother can't stop talking about you. We're starting a foundation to train businesses in communication accessibility for the deaf and hard of hearing. She wants you to lead it with full support and a salary that reflects your heart." Emily covered her mouth, speechless. For years she had wondered if her quiet kindness even mattered in a loud world. Now that same kindness had rewritten her destiny. Weeks later, in a shining downtown office, Emily stood beside Margaret Cole, teaching a group of executives how to greet someone in sign language. Ethan stood at the back, watching proudly, as the shy waitress who once hid behind a coffee pot now inspired a room full of leaders. At the end of the session, Margaret signed to her son, "You found her the one who listens without hearing." Ethan nodded, whispering, "No, Mom. She found us. We'd love to hear your story. What is the most memorable act of unexpected kindness you have witnessed or received? Share it in the comments below. As the camera fades on Emily's gentle smile, the message is clear. Kindness doesn't always speak, but it always connects. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, a simple act of understanding might just change someone's world forever.